Okay, na? Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Good evening to all of you. Class ప్రారంభం చేస్తున్నాం. First we start with organon of Hahnemann, then commentary of Master E.K. 286. We have to go through aphorism 286. The dynamic force of mineral magnets, electricity and galvanism act no less powerfully upon our life principle, and they are not less homeopathic than the properly so-called medicines which neutralize disease by taking them through the mouth, or by rubbing them on the skin, or by olfaction. There may be diseases, especially diseases of sensibility and irritability, abnormal sensations, and involuntary muscular movements, which may be cured by those means. But the more certain way of applying the last two as well as that of the so-called electromagnetic machine lies still very much in the dark to make homeopathic use of them. So far, both electricity and galvanism have been used only for palliation to the great damage of the sick. The positive, pure action of both upon the healthy human body have until the present time been but little tested. Of course, some remedies were tested according to Hahnemann's principle. For example, electricity and magnetos, all these were tested, and also they were tested upon some of the healthy human beings also. Provings are there. Master E.K.'s explanation. అయస్కాంతములు, విద్యుత్ శక్తి మొదలగునవి కూడా ఔషధముల వలనే ప్రాణశక్తిపై ప్రభావము చూపును. ఔషధమును లోపలికి సేవించుట, చర్మమునకు రుద్దుట ఎంత ఉపకరించునో ఇవి కూడా అంతగా ఉపకరించు. So electricity can be used as a medicine, but normally at present what we know is ECT. We know all over the world we know ECT, that is shock treatment for any psychic disorder. But actually for psychic disorders, shock treatment is being given. The person gets more weak. In the beginning he may get some improvement. In some people they are getting, in few people they are getting good improvement, but in others they are getting the bad effects. Why few people are getting good improvement? Because the application for them may be either partially or fully similar to them. That is homeopathic principle. Due to homeopathic principle only they are getting improvement with that. He is also explaining in the same way. But it should not be generalized. When anything is generalized, it means that is the problem. So electricity and magnetism also can be used as curative agents. ఉద్రేకములకును చేతన బాధలకు అనుభవ వికారములకు వశము తప్పి జరుగునట్టి కండరముల కదలికలు మున్నగునవి కల రోగములకు వీనితో నివారణము చేయు ఆవశ్యకత కూడా ఉండవచ్చు. Sometimes in the diseases where the muscles will have twitching of very much severe character, sometimes they may need the medicines like this. And some people who are more aggressive and in more aggravated form of their disease, they may also need these medicines. కానీ ఈ విధానములను విద్యుదయస్కాంత యంత్రములను వాడు విధానములను సారూప్యముగా వినియోగించుట ఇంకనూ గమనికకు రాని స్థితి ఎందే ఉన్నది. ఇంతవరకును విద్యుత్ శక్తి తాత్కాలికోపశమనకు మాత్రమే వాడబడుతున్నది. Till now the medicinal application of electricity and magnetism are not completely explained and observed, only partially in some cases. Still, much of it is in darkness. For example, we have used the homeopathic electricity, that is electrocity. In some people who are having more bone pains, more joint pains, and more suffering, shock-like pain, they will be having electric shock-like pain. Though we administer many diseases, many remedies, they will act temporarily, but complete relief will not be there. In those cases, when electricity is being used, those patients got a very good improvement after electricity. And in one cancer case also, I think it was a throat cancer case. It was a given up case in all places. It was meddled with surgery and also radium treatment. Everything was over, and she was declared that she will not live for more than few months. She came to Master E.K. It was in around 1980 or 81 or 82 in one of our centers, Kakinada. Then Master has administered electricitas 200 directly to that patient. She started getting very good improvement. I knew that she lived for more than 5 to 6 years later. What happened later, I do not know. With only electricitas. We could give electricitas 200. First he started with 30 and later Master gave 200. And we had continued electricitas 200 with a long gap. That is one dose for every 5 to 6 months. Yes. And later 1M also 1 or 2 doses we had administered. She got very good improvement. The swelling around the throat was completely subsided and she could eat well. She put on weight. Strength was there. She was able to come from her village every month and take the medicine. దాని వలన తీరని నష్టములు కలుగుతున్నవి. వీని ప్రభావము ఎంతవరకు ఆరోగ్యవంతుని దేహముపై పరిశీలన చేయబడక మాటుపడి ఉన్నది. Why the applications of electricity and magnetism are responding in some people and not responding in all people means because they are not exactly proved homeopathically. That is, on healthy human beings, those remedies are not completely proved. Because of that reason only, in some patients only they are getting improvement. వివరణము అలోపతి విధానమున తలనొప్పి, కీళ్ళనొప్పులు, పక్షవాతము, గ్రంథులు, కణుతులు, ఎముకల కురుపులు మున్నగు వాని యందు విద్యుత్ శక్తి వాడబడుతున్నది. Normally in allopathy they use for polio also, for paralysis also electrical stimulation they advise. In some cases we observe some improvement, somewhat improvement. అట్లే అల్ట్రావైలెట్ కిరణములు, ఇన్ఫ్రారెడ్ కిరణములు, గామా కిరణములు, ఎక్స్రే, రేడియం, కొబాల్ట్ మున్నగు పద్ధతులు కూడా అలోపతిలో వాడబడతాయి. Cobalt treatment, radium treatment, and also many types of these treatments, radioactive substance. With those treatments, they are giving in some cases. వీటి వలన బాగుబడి బ్రతికి బట్ట కట్టిన వాడు వైద్య చరిత్రలో లేడని నొక్కి చెప్పుట అపరాధము కాదు. So with radium treatment and also with cobalt treatment and with laser treatment, laser also when it is being used in a proper way, they will give some results in some people. But when it is used in an improper way, the bad effects will be there. So what Master is telling, up to the experience, medical experience, very few people got benefited and many people were not at all benefited by these things. ఈ చికిత్సల పాలబడిన వారు వికలాంగులు, నిరంతర బాధాపీడితులు, అల్పాయుష్కులునై కృషించి నశించుతున్నారు. So some people Some percentage of people after these treatments, their constitution is unable to react for other systems of medicines also. Prior to that, they were getting good improvement with other systems, for example, homeopathy or Ayurveda, any system. But after these treatments, that sensitivity is also being lost. We have observed in some people. ఈ చికిత్సలు పొందిన వెనుక ఎట్టి ఔషధమును ఏ ప్రక్రియలను పనిచేయని స్థితి వెంటనే ఏర్పడదు. దుర్మరణమే శరణ్యము. ఏం చేయలేము. అది కొంతవరకు వాళ్ళ కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్, వాళ్ళ బ్రెయిన్ సెల్స్ ఎంతవరకు పాడయ్యేటువంటిది, ఎంతవరకు రియాక్ట్ అయ్యేటువంటి దాని మీద ఆధారపడి ఉంటుంది. 1 or 2 times అయితే పర్వాలేదు. రిపీటెడ్గా వచ్చినప్పుడల్లా కొంతమంది ఇన్వేరియబుల్గా ఇచ్చేస్తూ ఉంటారు. అవి కేసులు పాడైపోతాయి. ఊరికే నేను చూశాను, ఒకళ్ళిద్దరు సైకియాట్రిస్ట్ నేను చూశాను. ప్రాబ్లం అది ఏమిటో తెలియదు, మామూలుగా అలా ఎవడో చేయదు డాక్టర్, కానీ అలాంటి వాళ్ళని కూడా చూశాను. నాకు ఆలోచనలు ఎక్కువగా వస్తున్నాయండి, కంట్రోల్ చేసుకోలేకపోతున్నా అన్నవాడికి కూడా షార్ట్స్ ఇచ్చిన వాళ్ళని చూసా, ఒకరిద్దరు డాక్టర్. ఆ డాక్టర్స్లో ఏమైనా ప్రాబ్లం ఉందేమో తెలియదు, కానీ మెడిసిన్స్తో ముందు ట్రై చేసి కాదు అనుకుంటే వాటితో వాళ్ళు ఏదైనా ప్రయత్నం చేయాలి. ముందు అసలు మెడిసిన్స్ ఇవ్వకుండా డైరెక్ట్గా అసలు దాంతోనే అంటే ఇప్పుడు క్యాన్సర్ కేసెస్లో కూడా చాలా కేసెస్లో చూస్తున్నాం. రేడియం ట్రీట్మెంట్, కీమోథెరపీ ఇచ్చిన తర్వాత వచ్చినటువంటి బ్యాడ్ ఎఫెక్ట్స్తో సఫర్ అవుతున్న వాళ్ళని చాలామంది చూస్తున్నాం. దాంతోనే వాళ్ళు బాగా ఎమాసియేట్ అయిపోయి వాళ్ళు పాడైపోయి కేసు అంతా పోతున్న వాళ్ళు చాలామంది. ఫార్చునేట్గా అటువంటి కేసుల్లో కూడా హోమియోపతికి రెస్పాండ్ అయిన వాళ్ళు బాగానే బట్టకట్టి తిరుగుతున్నారు. ఈవెన్ ఆఫ్టర్ కీమోథెరపీ, పీపుల్ హూ ఆర్ గెటింగ్ బ్యాడ్ ఎఫెక్ట్స్ ఆఫ్ రేడియం ట్రీట్మెంట్ అండ్ కీమోథెరపీ ఇన్ క్యాన్సర్ malignant cases, gradually they emaciate and also they will be getting more suffering, more pains, and they will die. In those cases who had responded wonderfully for homeopathy, they are getting very good improvement, and sometimes their life is being postponed to many years also. Of course, according to Master E.K., when once there is cancer on the physical plane, Master E.K., Hahnemann and Kent, they have explained, when a person gets cancer on the physical plane, there won't be complete cure. Palliation, it may be successful palliation for many years also. Maybe 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Also, that is called only palliation, not complete cure. On any day, he may get a relapse in the same organ or any other organ also, or any other system also. There are possibilities. Now we are treating one case. She is around 55 years. She had been treated with chemotherapy and also radium treatment for malignancy. There were secondaries also. For that also she was treated, but the bad effects she could not withstand. She came here. Fortunately, why she is getting very good improvement means, fortunately at that stage also she was having very strong mental symptoms. That is the positive thing there. Normally at that stage the mental symptoms will disappear, which indicates the incurability of the case. But fortunately in that lady the mental symptoms were very strong. She was very hypochondriac. There was much fear. Apart from the real disease and suffering, so she was explaining, she was feeling, she was fearing very much. Basing upon all these symptoms and also physical symptoms, I have started the case with Arnica 1M. In the first month itself, she got improvement. Now she is in our treatment for the last 2.5 to 3 years. After arnica 1M, 3 or 4 doses, I have given 10M. Now, on the second dose or third dose of arnica 10M, she is very well. She is not having any of those symptoms. The mental symptoms are also better. The fear and hypochondriasis are better. Every month she will be phoning. She will be telling, I am better. She will be sending her son. He will collect the medicine and going away. Fortunately, she was having all the strong mental symptoms even at that time. But we cannot call it a complete cure, even though she is better, very much better. According to Master and also Hahnemann, we can call it a successful postponement.
That's not cure. Salvage of the conversation of children and breast cancer with kidney disease.
ఒక కేసు, there was one lady who came to Master in 1970 or 71, even before that, 1969 or 68. She was diagnosed as having advanced breast cancer. That doctor had advised her to get mastectomy, removal of breast. She came to Master. He said, no, you do not undergo any treatment. I will treat you. Later, she had survived for more than 30 years. For more than 30 years, she survived. And she used to tell the doctors who had diagnosed her as cancer, some of those doctors, they got cancer and also they... For joke, she was telling like that. For nearly 30 years she survived. We can immediately advertise that we have cured cancer wonderfully, because she had lived for 30 years means definitely everyone will believe. But internally we should remember, according to the seers, that it is definitely a postpone. దుర్మరణమే శరణ్యము. పిచ్చివారి తలకు విద్యుద్ఘాతములు, ఎలక్ట్రిక్ షాక్స్ ఇచ్చుట కూడా ఇట్టిదే. ఇట్టి శాస్త్రీయమైన అజ్ఞాన పద్ధతికి గురి అగుచున్న రోగముతో చచ్చుట కన్నా గురి అగుట కన్నా రోగముతో చచ్చుట ఎక్కువ సుఖమరణము కలుగజేయు. ఇట్టి శాస్త్రీయమైన అజ్ఞాన పద్ధతికి గురి అగుట కన్నా రోగముతో చచ్చుట ఎక్కువ సుఖమరణమును కలుగజేయును. ఇదిగాక ఈ ప్రకృతి మహాశక్తులను సారూప్య విధానమును వినియోగించి నివారణోపాయములు కనిపెట్టుటకు ఈ దిగువ సూత్రములలో శాస్త్రాచార్యుడు చక్కని సూచనలను ఇచ్చి ఉన్నాడు. ఆ సూచనలను స్వీకరించి అతని అడుగుజాడలో నడిచిపోయిన ఎలెన్ మొదలగు మహానుభావులు దాన్ని ఎంతగానో వృద్ధి చేశారు. సో వాట్ హానిమన్ హ్యాస్ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్డ్, you can prepare remedies in homeopathy with all these things, and you can prove them on healthy people, and in similar cases you can administer. In the same way, X-ray was prepared. Now X-ray is a very strong medicine in very deep acting constitution. It can cure really, no boasting, but it can cure really the cancer diathesis, that is constitutionally. When in hereditarily there are cancers in 3 or 4 generations, it can completely eliminate and cure in next 2 or 3 generations cancer tendency constitutionally. We may think that there is no cancer at that time, but how can we know? How can we know that we have to give X-ray? In those cases, when there is hereditary of cancer in some generations, in 2 or 3 generations, they had some persons have died with cancer. In those cases, even we give correct treatment, exact similar treatment, the response will be very slow after some time. No response will be there even by indicated remedies. Then definitely we have to administer X-ray. Otherwise, in 1 or 2 years, definitely they will have cancer. In that way, miasmatically and constitutionally, X-ray will completely neutralize the cancer diathesis. That is, constitutionally, it will cure the cancer tendency. How is it possible? How he could prepare X-ray means the method he has given. And also, Master has given X-ray almost as a specific remedy for the disease which is having no medicine in the world till now. Pseudomuscular atrophy and dystrophy for the children. Even today there is no medicine in any other system. Only in homeopathy in some cases we could cure. Almost he has given X-ray as a specific remedy that should be compulsorily administered in those cases on one or other day during the course of treatment. So the followers of Hahnemann like Allen, they could understand the method from Hahnemann and they have prepared the medicines like వారి తపస్సు వలన ఎలక్ట్రిసిటాసు మ్యాగ్నెటాసు ఎక్స్రే యురేనియం మొదలగు మహౌషధములు నిరూపింపబడి గుణ నిర్ణయముతో మెటీరియా మెడికాతో వాడవలసిన విధానములో నేటికి సంసిద్ధములై. So the followers of Hahnemann like Allen, they could prepare the medicines like X-ray, magnetas, electricitas, uranium, all these things they have prepared. And now the remedies are ready for use in a homeopathic way. Not that X-ray should be used for each and every cancer case. It will not give any effect. When it is indicated, when it is not indicated, if we give X-ray for cancer, like some people give carcinosin for cancer. As a specific remedy, they will be giving carcinosin. But there won't be any effect. మెటీరియా వానిలో అంత దుష్కరములైన వ్యాధులు ఆశ్చర్యకరముగా నివారింపబడుట అనుభవమునకు తెలిసిన విషయం. With those remedies, very horrible diseases which were considered as incurable, they were completely cured according to my experience, that is Master's experience. He is explaining. So that is organon. Now we go through lectures on homeopathic philosophy by Kant. The removal of the totality, that chapter we are reading. From this indubitable truth that besides the totality of symptoms, nothing can by any means be discovered in diseases wherewith they could express their need of aid, it follows undeniably that the sum of all the symptoms in each individual case of disease must be the sole indication, the sole guide to direct us in the choice of a remedy. But it is not enough to consider the totality as a grand whole. Besides considering all the symptoms collectively, each individual symptom must be considered. Every symptom must be examined to see what relation it sustains to and what position it fills in that totality, in order that we may know its value, whether it is a common symptom, whether it is a particular symptom, or whether a peculiarly characteristic symptom. This we shall consider later in the course. So this also we have read last week. Now, as diseases are nothing more than alterations in the state of health of the healthy individual, which express themselves by morbid signs, and the cure is only possible by a change to the healthy condition of the state of health of the diseased individual, it is very evident that medicines could never cure diseases if they did not possess the power of altering man's state of health, which depends on sensations and functions. Indeed, that their curative power must be owing solely to this power they possess of altering man's state of health. The statement is that medicines must be capable of effecting changes in the economy or they cannot restore order in the economy. It is very clear. Unless they are able to produce the same symptoms in the healthy persons, they are not at all the medicines that can cure the person. Only the medicines which are able to produce the condition, these symptoms in the healthy persons, when they are similar to the diseased persons, then only they can cure. Otherwise, they will not cure. If the medicine is too high to affect a disturbance in the irregularly governed economy, it will be too high to affect a cure in that economy. The potency must be consistent with the degree of susceptibility that calls for the medicine. So, even though the remedy is indicated, the same remedy is indicated for 2 or 3 people at a time with their totality, we have to select the potency also according to them. For example, one person needs 10,000 potency. The other person who is more sensitive, if we give 10M at once, there may be aggravation. We have to start from 200. Some person may need 1M, 1000 potency. So that should also be considered. This susceptibility includes a wide range of potency, so that from the 30th to the cm, there is seldom a miss in actual experience. It is seldom that the potency is too high, but that it is higher than is necessary is often true. No drug can act curatively except by its ability to effect changes, and it is known that drugs do effect changes by their provings, but in the provings the drug has been increased in quantity or reduced in quality in accordance with the judgment of the prover. In provings also he is explaining, advising in the same way. In some people they will get good proving with higher potencies. Some people they will get good proving with lower potency. That also we should judge. Many times the coarser substances affect few changes and sometimes none, whereas the higher substances make sick, that is in accordance with the state of susceptibility. Some provers are susceptible to the higher who are not at all susceptible to the lower. For example, you take opium constitution, either in proving or in the patient. Basically, his constitution is not very sensitive. He is very stubborn and the reaction also very poor for him, typical opium patient. So, in treatment and also in the proving, sometimes they start getting symptoms only after giving higher potency. Suppose if you give only opium 30 because we have started the proving, there won't be any effect. If we give opium 1M, then they will start producing the symptoms. In the same way, in treatment also, if we give opium 30 because it is better to start with 30 potency in chronic diseases, we have read. So with opium 30, there won't be any change, even though if we repeat many doses and also if we wait for 3 or 4 months, it is a waste of time. For him, if we give directly opium 1M, then it will work as 30 in other people. So there are some people who are susceptible and who can withstand higher potency. There are some people who are sensitive to higher potencies. They should be treated only with lower potency. Whatever the higher potency to a single drop of tincture of coffea, but who are extremely susceptible to the higher potencies of coffea. Such patients, however, are often made sick by large doses of coffee. Lycopodium in its crude form has upon most people no effect and in the higher potencies is capable, if followed up continuously, of affecting almost everyone. For example, if we give Lycopodium 6, nothing will be there. You give Lycopodium 200, there will be good improvement. But in some cases, advanced cases, if we start the treatment with Lycopodium 200, though it is well indicated, and also in chronic cases which are incurable, in those cases, if we start with Lycopodium 200, nothing will happen, no improvement will be there. In those cases, we have to start with Lycopodium 6, daily doses. Then only they will get good improvement. Even though Lycopodium is indicated, we are satisfied and we are extremely happy that we are giving 200, but there won't be any improvement. The effect that medicines have upon the sick in restoring order can best be observed by inducing the effects upon healthy individuals, which we call proving. You might easily suppose, by the way of modern firms, bring their medicines before us, and they have, by a great effort to their will and by great meditation, thought out what these drugs will do to the human family. For the purpose of ascertaining the state of medicine at the present time, I very often listen to a drummer from some of the New York houses. He will speak his piece, tell what this wonderful combination will do, how many diseases it will cure, and then I ask him how he finds this out. So when people advertise, this combination will do wonderful miracles, so and so diseases it will cure. He used to listen very patiently whatever that person, advertising person. Then he used to ask, how can you know? How you are able to know? Oh, the doctors say so. Here are the testimonials. Then the advertising person says, many doctors have said me, so they have given the testimonials. They are with me. So basing upon this, I can tell you. But how do they find it out? Whoa, they use them. But the drugs have not been proved, and their use is not in accordance with what the homeopath knows the drugs will produce or cure. If you go into a friendly drugstore and talk with the druggist, you will find these medicines which have been concocted in the prescriptions of all the fashionable doctors in the neighborhood. In 6 months from that time, if you go to same store, you will not find one of those drugs in use, but a new set following the visit of the traveling man who has come around to represent their wonderful properties. Definitely from the beginning. So the person comes from the factory, he will explain this remedy will work like this, and then the doctors will follow his words, they will prescribe. So for 5 or 6 months or at least 1 or 2 years, these remedies will work out. After that, these remedies will disappear from the stores and from the doctors. A new set of remedies will be there. Do not think that I refer entirely to the old school, because a large percentage of these prescriptions is from professed homeopaths, and that is much homeopathy as think anything they do. So from many homeopaths also they will prescribe like this. There are some many specific drops, sleep drops, biochemics no problem. Biocombinations and biochemics no problem. No problem. Biocombinations they will do wonders. They are harmless. Biocombinations from 1 to 28 they can be used as it is and they will give results. not biocombinations. There are some companies they are preparing some specific tonsilide, rheumatoid, like many with the combination of many medicines. Even chemicals also they will prepare. Digest like this. Some numbers will be there. In 30 and 200 potencies, they will mix. They will prepare one remedy. They will give typhoid mixture, like this. So that is very dangerous. The majority of homeopaths do these things, attempting to establish a homeopathic practice upon an allopathic foundation. They try to become fashionable and change their prescriptions as the ladies change their bonnets with the season. So lesser writings of Kent now. The making of a man chapter we are reading. Man is affected. Man is affected in the internals and in every cell. Every cell has all the planes. Every cell is what man is as a whole. Every cell is complete in its thing. What complete man is having, every cell also has. The same is explained as what the universe at large is having, the person is also having in himself. That is being explained in spiritualism and Vedas. The same thing he is telling. What the man has, the same thing every cell has in its completion. This elevates the thought to the curative principles. Hahnemann says it is strange that medicine in the old times could not go in the opposite way from that which it took and pursue these things. Crude drugs produce the opposite effects from the attenuated doses. Crude whiskey, when taken in the system, produces a drunken condition. An attenuated dose makes a man who appears drunk feel better. Being given that will if the drug presents the crude dose is similar to what would be experienced long after taking the crude form. In attenuated form, primary and secondary effects found. The attraction of matter and repulsion account these effects. One of a material of mind that these and the ability to think more than the so, other planes also to think that we will be able to know. A class of men at present think they discover the cause of disorder in bacteria, hence they search for pathological bacteria to be grandparents and establish a family. Here is a material idea which indicates the trend of the old school and all the theories they manufacture, and the trend of homeopathic doctors who are not homeopaths believing in the bacterial etiology. If bacteria cause disease, we may about in a different way. When out of in front, when out in the frontier country, I found the earth covered with a bed of lava from 50 to 75 feet in depth. The outer surface was decomposed from the influence of light, rain, and heat, oxidized, forming a soil in which trees, grass, and shrubs grew in abundance. Fire swept over the land and cleared it completely, destroying everything. The next season, there was a vast growth of fireweed. Immediately I said, looking at it, did this fireweed cause the fire and spread over the woods? What a wonderful thought, brilliant idea. I was then anxious for a body of men to tell to it. No one ever sowed the seed over the vast area where thousands of acres are spread over by the fireweed. Then I said, no, the fireweed did not cause the fire. The fireweed came from the fact that the land was prepared by the heat, rain, and air in which to cause the fireweed. What spontaneous development? Why that idea was given up long ago? Yes, by whom? Given up long ago by science. Another time, I was hunting in a place where the lumberers had their camps. They had cut off the woods, used the lumber, and moved off, leaving the shanties and the stables and pens where their pigs were kept to rot away. Where the pigs were kept, there was a copious growth of pigweed. Cyclotoma fictifilum. Where the cattle were kept, smartweed grew in abundance. Where man had deposited his fecal waste was a copious growth of nettle. Who do not say that the pigweed was the cause of the pigs, that the smartweed made the cattle grow, etc. I had elevated my mind above that and came to the conclusion that these forms of growth were the result and not the cause of men and cattle and the pigs. So he could understand that these are only the results, not the. In my own garden, on the north side of the house, in the shadow, where the ground is copiously watered, the moss has crowded out the grass. So the preparation of the soil preceded the development of any growth. Changes in the blood, when health is disturbed, make a preparation of soil in the blood for the spontaneous development in the body of various forms to correspond to every change in bodily disorder. ఎక్కడి నుంచి ఎక్కడికి పట్టుకొచ్చాడో అసలు కనెక్షన్ ఎక్కడి నుంచి ఎక్కడికి పట్టుకొచ్చాడో హ్యూమన్ కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్ దగ్గరికి. To assume that these spontaneous growths cause the sickness is absurd. Fluids that contain bacteria and evolve them will act as agents of infection. You can kill the bacteria with alcohol and inject the fluid remaining into the body and cause a condition in the blood similar to that in the body from which the fluid was taken. The cause of the disorder is on the plane of simple substance. So not the bacteria is the cause, only on the simple substance the cause is there. When it floats forth into the ultimates, it evolves spontaneously into bacteria. This is the direct evolution from cause to effect. You cannot become normal in soul, affections and uses so long as you reason from effect to cause. This trend of thought is essential to our school to check our expenditure of millions in laboratory analysis. Blood analysis is of no use to help me, to help a patient. So basing upon this, we cannot prescribe. That is a waste of time, waste of money, that he says. Everyone who is seen to go deeply into bacterial study loses all love for it because it has no use. Causes are continued into effects. Germs are caused from the fluids. These fluids are infectious, but the germs as living beings are not infectious. Sepsis comes first, then the germs appear. Only after septic condition only the worms will be there, germs. But first they will not be there. There is a spontaneous development of sepsis in the blood. If the germs are left long enough, they will kill off the poison. This is illustrated in case of a cadaver. అంతే కదా శవంలో పురుగులు వచ్చి ఏం చేస్తాయి మొత్తం అంతటినీ కూడా మ్యాటర్ అంతటినీ లాగి బారేస్తాయి. అదే జరుగుతుంది అంటున్నాడు లివింగ్ బీయింగ్స్ లో కూడా. The scalpel that pricks the hand in the course of a post-mortem examination is more poisonous than the scalpel that pricks the hand after using it on the cadaver that has lain for 6 weeks and is mortified and green. కొంతకాలం అలా వదిలేసినటువంటి బాడీకి గుచ్చినటువంటి దానికన్నా సెప్సిస్ కండిషన్తో ఇదైనటువంటి ఇమీడియట్గా పోయిన వాడికి గుచ్చింది ఎక్కువ పాయిజన్. ఎందుకంటే దాంట్లో అవి వచ్చి దానికి చేయాల్సిన పని అంతా చేసేస్తాయి. ఎక్కడి నుంచి ఎక్కడికి కంపారిజన్ ఇస్తాడు. అంటే వాడిని వదిలేయకూడదు. ఇప్పుడు నేను చెప్పేది ఏంటంటే పురుగులు వచ్చాయంటే సేఫ్ అని వదిలేయవద్దు, అదే అని చెప్పేది. కానీ అవి చేసేది ఏంటంటే అవి కాదు, అదే మనం అండర్స్టాండ్ చేసుకోవాలి. అక్కడ అవి చేసే పని అవి చేస్తాయి. దానికి ఊరికే ఎగ్జాంపుల్గా ఆయన ఇది ఇచ్చాడు. కానీ అవి కాదని అర్థం చేసుకోండి. అవి వచ్చాయి అంటే అర్థం ఏంటంటే లోపల మోర్ డేంజరస్ కండిషన్ ఉంది. దానికి మనం ట్రీట్మెంట్ ఇస్తే అప్పుడు వీటికి కూడా ఏమవుతుందో అది అవుతుంది. కానీ ఇవి ఇంకో తోట చెబుతాడు దీంట్లోనే లెక్చర్స్ ఆన్ ఫిలాసఫీలో చెప్తారు. యాక్చువల్లీ దే ఆర్ నాట్ ది కాజెస్, దే వర్క్ యాజ్ స్కావెంజర్స్ అంటాడు బ్యాక్టీరియా. దే విల్ క్లియర్ ఆఫ్ ఆల్ ది మెటీరియల్, అన్నెసరీ మెటీరియల్. దే విల్ ఎంగల్ఫ్. సో యూ షుడ్ నాట్ కిల్ దెమ్ అంటాడు. Now the lesser writings of Hahnemann on making the body hardy. Gleaning a corn in August, sheep washing, crab catching, tending the cattle in all kinds of weather in open fields, as well when he remains motionless beside them as when he runs after them over the hills, fetching wood from the distant forest in all weathers, the damp schoolroom, the fair that excites disgust at the excesses committed, the 3 hours sermon in the cellar-like church. All these are excellent exercises and modes of hardening the body, which would be serviceable to a person in afterlife, whatever position he might occupy. ఇవన్నీ ఈ రకంగా దానివల్ల ఏమైపోతాడో ఎంత కష్టపడతాడో ఏమవుతో అది అనుకోవద్దు అంటాడు. అవన్నీ వాడికి అలవాటు చేసిన తర్వాత లైఫ్లో వాడికి అవన్నీ కూడా పనికొస్తాయి. బాడీ చాలా స్ట్రాంగ్గా తయారవుతున్నాను. In the center of a great and populous city, it is utterly impossible to bring out healthy children, and equally so to harden their frames. Should they walk all through the town in order to get into the open country, they would be tired before they could escape from the depraved air of the city. సిటీలో వాడిని నడవమంటే అక్కడ కొంత దూరం నడిచేది వాడు అలసిపోతాడు. ఏం చేతంటే ఉన్నటువంటి పొల్యూషన్, ఎయిర్ పొల్యూషన్ వల్ల. Tired children could not endure any of the exercises we have proposed without getting ill. They would require strength. I might say a superlative degree of strength to stand heat or cold wind, damp, etc. Should they drive out of town, there are several difficulties in the way. To endure all sorts of weather seated in an open carriage can only be done by robust grown-up people. Should they only drive out in good weather, then during bad weather, confined to the air of the town rooms, they would go back farther than they had uh, they had gone forward from the few exercises in the country. వెదర్ బాగోలేదు కాబట్టి ఎక్కడికి వెళ్ళకుండా ఇంట్లో కూర్చుంటే అంతకుముందు వీళ్ళు చేసినటువంటి ఎక్సర్సైజ్ బెటర్ అయిన దానికన్నా ఇంకా వెనక్కి వెళ్ళిపోతారు. In shut up carriages, the space is so confined that the deprivation of the air by breathing soon attains to a great height. If the carriage windows be let down, a draught is produced which the poor hot house plants cannot bear. In small towns of about a couple of thousand of inhabitants, or in the environs of larger towns, it is more possible to rear healthy and hardy children with proper care, provided we withdraw them gradually and as much as possible from the enervating influences of gentle life, and allow them to pass at least one third of the day in the open air, mindful always in their relative strength and of the necessity of accustoming them gradually to all that is strange and unusual to them. With fear, generally, we will not allow the children to continue to walk, to expose to all the winds, to all the, but allow them, he says. Let them go, let them walk, let them expose. Then only they can have a good constitution to withstand. Children can be brought up healthy and hardy most easily and certainly at a distance from towns. For example, on an estate or in a village residence, but the circumstances of all parents do not admit of this, and equally certain it is that we may, even in the most healthy villages, make our children delicate and puny. హాయిగా ఉన్నటువంటి విలేజెస్లో కూడా, ఈవెన్ దో వీఆర్ లివింగ్ ఇన్ ఎ గుడ్ అట్మాస్ఫియర్ ఇన్ గుడ్ విలేజ్, we arrange the children to become weak and puny. That is very unfortunate. To do this, we need only to deprive them of their freedom, to leave them usually shut up in the low, damp, hot room, to overload their stomachs, and to let them sleep in hot, soft feather beds, to encourage uncleanliness and so forth. But on the other hand, the propinquity of a town offers so many advantages for the cultivation of the mind of growing children that we should make the greatest sacrifices in order that in all the circumstances in which we parents may be placed, we may give or cause to be given to the bodies and minds of our children the development most suitable for their destined situation in life. అసలు టచ్ అయిన ఆస్పెక్ట్ లేదు ఇది. పిల్లల్ని ఎలాగ హార్డ్గా తయారు చేయాలి, వాళ్ళు ఎలా లివ్ చేయడానికి అని చాప్టర్. Master used to say that Master always used to say that most of the children are pampered nowadays, and this is one of the reasons that the children are deprived of proper mental and physical growth. Physical growth there may be, that is not real growth, that is overgrowth, more than necessary, and false growth, and mental growth is not up to the mark, because most of the parents do not know that they should allow the child to learn, because for everything the parents
Even when the children are grown up also, they do not leave them freely to do their task. Such parents are growing more and more. Huh? This shows definitely that these are the parents who are also pampered by their parents in turn. Huh? So that is what Hahnemann says, that it is the syphilitic miasm which continues through generations, because there is a lack of comprehension. You cannot observe the nature, law of nature, and this is reflected in the bringing up of children. So this goes through generations, and gradually now we can see that most of the people, even when they are grown up, they have no mental stamina to withstand the situations. So very easily susceptible. No adjustment, no proper thinking, and they are gripped in fear for everything. This is the reason. So it is not just the medicine that can do everything, but it is also the proper understanding and a proper discipline with the parents. There is also a logic behind this in the minds of the parents. Why they do all this is they take over care of the children because they are afraid that by the time they are old enough that they need to be taken care of. They need their children to take care of them in the same manner, pampering them, which is not possible. And which is also absurd. So this absurd type of thinking is the result of also the syphilitic miasm once again.
Clinical clinical materia medica by Farrington. We are reading the remedy epis. To return to the eye symptoms of epis, the lids are swollen, red and edematous. There is burning of the tarsi with agglutination of the lids. Sudden and very severe pains shoot through the eyes, and these are relieved by the application of cold water. The eyes are generally worse in the first part of the night. Epis is often indicated in scrofulous ophthalmia, in which affection it is often followed by caribichromicum. It now only remains for me to speak of the intestinal symptoms of epis. It may be of value in diarrhea, such for instance as comes on during the course of typhoid fever or scarlatina, or as the result of the debilitating influence of continued heat. You will find it useful in the diarrhea of children who are very much debilitated. Irritability of the brain is generally present with the condition known as hydrocephalus. The symptoms are much like those indicating epis in hydrocephalus. The child wakes up with a scream. The stools are thin, watery, yellow in color, and usually worse in the morning. At every motion of the body, the bowels move as though the sphincter ani has no power. The stool may or may not be offensive. Epis differs from bryonia, which has morning diarrhea, worse from motion. In the diarrhea of epis, the motion aggravates not because of its general effects, but because the sphincter ani is so uncertain. In bad cases, you will find the urine scanty. Epis may also be thought of in panoritium. Panoritium ante enti? Phelan. The finger swells rapidly with a tense, grossly red surface and violent burning, stinging pain. In this respect, it is very similar to sulfur and may be followed by sulfur when its action is imperfect. Modalities. EPIS has general relief from cold applications. Many complaints are worse in the evening and night, though diarrhea increases in the morning. Motion generally aggravates, as does a warm room. EPIS is antidoted by Plantago and Lacasis and is complementary to Natramor. Ledum was proposed by Teste as an antidote for the stings of insects. Dr. Drisdale has cured nightly itching of the feet with it. In closing, let me ask you to remember the relation of EPIS to arsenic, acetic acid, belladonna, and sulfur. Remember also its inimical relation to rooster.
That is first to be remembered. Let me ask you to remember.
Next drug is Moschus. Moschus or Moschus. The order of Ruminaceae furnishes us with an article called musk. కాదు, అది నక్సు మోస్చట, ఇది కస్తూరి. మాస్టర్స్ అంటే కస్తూరి, నువ్వు చెప్పేది నక్సు మోస్చట, యాజికాయ, which is obtained from the Moschus mosquiferus or musk deer. It is found in a kasturi mrugam. ఇప్పుడు చాలా తక్కువ లేవు, చాలా తక్కువ. దీనికోసమే కస్తూరి చాలా, కస్తూరి తిలకం చాలా ఫ్యాక్టరీ. It is found in a sac just behind the umbilicus and probably consists of a secretion from the prepudial follicles. The second word, mosquiferous, is a necessary qualification since several species of the musk deer, as the Tragulus javanicus and the Memina indica, are unprovided with the musk-bearing pouch. పునుగు పిల్లి అంటారు. ఆ పునుగు పిల్లి కూడా దీనిలాగే ఉంటుంది. మస్క్ డీర్ అంటే ఇంచుమించు అలాగే ఉంటుంది. దాన్ని కూడా ఫ్రాగ్రెంట్గా ఉంటుంది, కానీ కస్తూరి చాలా ఫ్రాగ్రెంట్. ఆయుర్వేదంలో బాగా కస్తూరి యూసేజ్ చాలా ఎక్కువ ఉంది ఆయుర్వేదంలో. అది ఇప్పుడు కస్తూరి అని చాలామంది తెలీదు. ఇప్పుడు షాపులోకి వెళ్ళి కస్తూరి అంటే ఉందని చెప్తాడు, వాడిచ్చేదే కర్పూరస్ ఎలా చెప్తాడంటే ఇస్తాడు. అది కస్తూరి కనిపించాడు. ఒకసారి మా కళ్ళెదనకుండానే ఎవరో షాపులో ఇచ్చాడు అలాగా. ఎవరో వచ్చి కస్తూరి ఉందంటే ఉంది అన్నాడు. కస్తూరి ఉందంటే ఉందన్నాడు. కస్తూరి కాదన్నాడు. కస్తూరి ఇప్పుడు వాళ్ళకి అసలు దాని స్వరూప స్వభావం తెలియదు ఎలా ఉంది, కానీ దొరకదు ఇప్పుడు.
పునుగోలు రాస్తారు. ఆ పునుగోలు ఇప్పుడు గవర్నమెంట్ మనకు ఆర్డర్ ఉంటాయి. దానికోసం కాదు అందుకని మరి టీచర్ ఏంటంటే అలంకారం పునుగు కస్తూరి అది కూడా
దొరకవు, చాలా కష్టం. వాటిని ముందే చంపేసారు.
దేవుడి పేరు పెట్టుకుని
లేవు అప్పుడు, చాలా కష్టం.
So penetrating is the order of the substance, that it is with great difficulty removed from a room, even after extensive cleansing and alteration.
బాలింతలకి కస్తూరి బాలింతలకి డెలివరీ తర్వాత కస్తూరి చాలా కొంచెం మైన్యూట్ డోస్ వేసేవాళ్ళు. వేస్తే ఇంకా వాళ్ళకి వాతం ధనుర్వాతం ఏం వచ్చేవి, పర్పురల్ ఎఫెక్షన్స్ ఏం రావే, అంత పవర్ఫుల్ అది కస్తూరి. ఇప్పుడు ఎంత ఏటీఎస్ ఇంజెక్షన్ చెత్త చెదారం ఇచ్చేస్తారు ఇప్పుడు. సో మాస్టర్స్ ఈజ్ ఫ్రమ్ a deer, from a species of musk deer, and this substance was very much used in the Ayurvedic medicine in the olden days. Nowadays it's mostly extinct because most of the animals are killed, and this substance is very fragrant, so fragrant that it is very difficult to extend the smell from the room, even a little quantity. In the olden days, after the delivery, the women were given a very minute dose of this substance to prevent all the peripheral complications.
Muscus is of some value in nervous affections and also in several grave forms of disease. Injected into the veins of animals, it has produced narcotism with muscular spasms, bloody stools, and finally death. Wood regards its action on man as feeble and uncertain, though he admits its clinical worth when the nervous system is exhausted with accompanying restlessness, etc. Ringer regards it as ill adapted to medicine on account of its sickening odor. Bartholow, Flint, Hammond, and Rosenthal do not use it in the hysteria. German writers Jolly, for instance, admit a temporary benefit from its use in hysteria. Like some American authorities, they employ it more confidently in pneumonia and spasmus glottis. Trossier, with characteristic conversation, rejects the overdrawn laudations of older writers and proceeds in his own unique fashion to define its accurate application to diseases. In our own school, precise prescribing has had its influence in more clearly defining the power of musk and in thus limiting its action within reasonable bounds. The experiments of Jorg and Sundelhin, which Allen has seen fit to incorporate in the encyclopedia, are considered by some to be contradictory. Still, they are not opposed to other provings obtained with potencies or by inhalation, and so are of value and deserve to be retained. Homeopathically employed, Mostus is of use in various affections when the nervous symptoms predominate. The disease, in consequence, does not follow its normal course but remains uncured or develops serious symptoms indicating nervous exhaustion. It is also sometimes called for in hysteria and hypochondrias. క్యాల్కేరియా సిలికేటా అయిపోయింది. క్లార్క్లో ఏం ఇవ్వలేదు చూసా, ఒక చిన్న పేరా ఇచ్చాడు క్లాస్లో, చాలా ఇచ్చి ఉంటాడేమో అనుకున్నా. ఆయన స్నేహం ఇవ్వలే. ఈయన కెంట్ క్యాల్కేరియా సిలికేటాలో ఎన్ని మెంటల్స్ ఇచ్చాడో, ఎంత అద్భుతమైన రేంజ్ ఆఫ్ యాక్షన్ ఇచ్చాడో. క్యాల్కేరియా సల్ఫ్, దాంతో మన క్యాల్కేరియా గ్రూప్ అయిపోతుంది. నెక్స్ట్ గ్రూప్ అప్ స్టార్ట్ చేస్తాం. ఒక గ్రూపు వైజ్గా చదువుతాం, ఒక్కొక్క ఫ్యామిలీ. అవన్నీ అయిపోయి క్యాల్కేరియా ఫాస్, క్యాల్కేరియా యోడు, క్యాల్కేరియా ఆర్స్, క్యాల్కేరియా సిలికేటా అవన్నీ అయిపోయి యాసిడ్ గ్రూప్ అంతా ఫస్ట్ చదివేసాం. క్యాల్కేరియా సల్ఫ్యూరికా నవ్వు ఈ గ్రూప్లో చదవాలి. అంతకుముందు సో నౌ క్యాల్కేరియా సల్ఫ్యూరికా ఇన్ Kent Medica. Many years ago, Sushler introduced this remedy, and it has been used extensively upon the biochemical theory. Many excellent cures have been made in this way, most of us are able to recognize as homeopathic cures, though it is a sort of crude homeopathy. By studying these cures, many symptoms may be obtained not supposed to be of importance by these reporters. These symptoms often furnish a basis for further consideration or further clinical observation. Many fragmentary provings have also been made, furnishing many of the symptoms recorded in this article. The author frequently made use of the Sushler's 12th potency, later to the 30th and 200th, at present much higher potency. From all of these, many valuable symptoms have been obtained. Some of these symptoms have come out upon the sick while under the influence of this remedy and have been since confirmed, so that the following symptoms must now furnish the best basis that we have to prescribe on. The best consideration that this remedy has ever received to be found in boric and dewaste materia medica on tissue remedy. The tendency to the formation of abscess in the body in any place is a strong feature of this remedy and is quite similar to pyrogen. An abscess that has ruptured and is slow to heal with a continuous discharge of yellow pus is a strong indication for this remedy. The patient desires the open air, is sensitive to drafts, takes cold easily, because it is a combination of two drugs, calcaria and sulfur. It is very useful in the management of malignant growths after ulceration has set in. It is under such circumstances an excellent palliative. It is a deep-acting constitutional remedy, an antisoric, and if given early enough will prevent a malignant growth terminating in its usual way. It is useful in affections of bone, caries of bone. While the patient is cold in general, he often requires to be uncovered because of a particular condition. In one bone cancer case previously I told you, an old lady of 70 years, I have treated her in bone cancer of the leg, tibia. Thigh. With calcaria sulf 1 m, I have started the treatment, and slowly I have given calcaria sulf 50 m. She survived for 3 or 4 years. Good palliation. ఒక్కోసారి మీకు తెలియదు, హనుమాన్ జంక్షన్లో ఒక కేసు ట్రీట్ చేశాను. ఆవిడకి బ్రెస్ట్ క్యాన్సర్ లేకపోతే ఈసోఫేజియల్ క్యాన్సర్. ఆవిడకి మొట్టమొదటి పల్స్లా ఇచ్చాము, దాంతో కొంతవరకు ఇంప్రూవ్మెంట్ వచ్చేది. తర్వాత వెరీ గుడ్, అది వేర్ రెమెడీ, దాంతో బాగా చాలా కాలం ఆవిడకి మంచి ఇంప్రూవ్మెంట్. సేమ్ పల్స్టిల్ అలాగే ఉంటుంది, చెప్తాను. Asteria rubens. Asteria rubens. So she got very good improvement and palliation for some years. For instance, in croup and in headaches, he feels the heat too much, but the pains of the body are often relieved by heat. He is sensitive to both cold and heat. After becoming cold, complaints come on. Tendency to take cold in drafts or on slight occasions. He is sensitive to cold, wet weather. It cures the underlying basis of epilepsy, epileptiform and hysterical convulsions. The patient is aggravated from exertion. His muscles are flabby. He is disposed to hemorrhages. When well-selected remedies act only a short time and the symptoms agree, this remedy is one that should be thought of along with sulfur, sornum and tuberculin. ఆ వర్డ్ వేయకుండా వదలడు. Complaints from straining muscles and tendons from overlifting, etc. Lame back from such causes. Throughout the chest and head and sometimes extending into the limbs, there is a violent orgasm of blood, flashes of heat and pulsations. Onanism and sexual excess reduce the economy to a state whereby they feel their constitutional disturbance, and this is one of the remedies that elevate the body to a better state of order in such conditions. Pain in the bones day and night, pulsating all over the body. Standing aggravates many complaints. Sulfur kada? Calcarea sulfur kada? Just sulfur. Standing aggravates many complaints, but especially the joints, swollen and indurated glands, twitching of the muscles all over the body. Many of the symptoms are aggravated on waking. Many symptoms are aggravated by walking, and especially walking fast and becoming heated. Aggravation from being overheated, wants to uncover. Aggravation from the warmth of the bed. A warm room aggravates. Warm wraps aggravate. Great bodily weakness. Thick yellow discharges from the mucous membranes. Thick bloody discharges. Purulent exudations in serous sacs. Bloody pus from abscess, ulcers and mucous membranes. Prolonged suppuration. Wants to keep still. Now it will be found that the above general symptoms prevail throughout the particulars in many instances, and it will appear that the bodily state is more or less penetrated with these symptoms. మొత్తం కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్ మొత్తం రెమెడీ అంతా కూడా ఈ పై చెప్పిన జనరల్ సిమ్టమ్స్ మొత్తం అన్నిట్లోనూ ఉంటాయండి. The patient is absent-minded, irritable, easily angered. He becomes weak and anger and vexation. Aversion to he becomes weak after anger and vexation. Aversion to answering questions. He is easily made anxious, especially in the evening in bed, during the night and when lying. Anxiety with fear during fever. Arsenic laga anamata. Anxiety about the future. Anxious about his heart and his health in general. His anxiety is ameliorated in the open air. He has anxiety about the salvation. నేను క్యాల్కేరియాలో ఉంటుంది కదా, దాంట్లో ఇస్తాడు క్యాల్కేరియా కాదులో చిన్నపిల్ల కూర్చుని ఆలోచిస్తుంది. ఏంటి ఆలోచిస్తున్నామంటే ఎప్పుడు చచ్చిపోయి స్వర్గానికి వెళ్తామో, ముక్తి ఎప్పుడు వస్తుందని ఆలోచిస్తుంటాడు. క్యాల్కేరియా కాదులో ఇచ్చాడు. He has anxiety about his salvation. He has anxiety in the morning and waking. Many changeable moods and capriciousness. Aversion to company. Confusion of mind in the morning on waking and again in the evening. This is also ameliorated in the open air. Confusion of mind from mental exertion. Contrary and contradictory moods. He has many little delusions, whims and strange fancies. Frightful images in the night when trying to sleep. Has visions. Great despair of recovery during heat. Craves stimulants to overcome his tremulous weakness. He is discontented at all times. Great sluggishness of mind. Continuously in a state of apprehension. Fear of death. fear that some evil will befall him, fear of insanity and fear of misfortune, and this comes on at night, forgetful. Fear of hatred of people who do not agree with him, always in a hurry, hysterical, impatient, feeble-minded, even to imbecility, indifferent as to his surroundings, irresolution, extreme irritability in the evening, irritable after coition, lamenting because he is not duly appreciated. దాని గురించి అలాగ బాధపడుతూ ఉంటాడు. Loathing of life, malicious. This remedy is especially useful in broken down constitutions from drunkenness, weakness of mind, of memory, and of body. Some of the mental states that are aggravated in the morning with sadness on waking become mirthful in the evening, even to hilarity. He stumbles in speaking and misplaces words, changeable moods, morose, obstinate, easily offended or insulted, prostration of mind, quarrelsome, restlessness, mental depression in the morning, with mirthfulness in the evening, sadness during perspiration, dullness of the senses, sits and meditates over imaginary misfortune. Does not want to be talked to, easily startled, stupefaction, suspicious, indisposed to talk, tormenting, persistent thought, while busily engaged thinking his thoughts vanish, becomes tired, bashful, and apprehensive, and in his conversation is extremely wearisome, weeping during perspiration, an aversion to mental and physical work, real indolence. So that is the class for today. स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्याय्येन मार्गेण महीं महिषा गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः